In the quiet mountains, where the peaks touched the clouds and the air was crisp with ancient secrets, there lived a monk renowned for his wisdom. His eyes held the depth of a calm lake, and his smile could soothe the most troubled of souls. One bright spring morning, as dew clung to the newly bloomed flowers, a restless young boy arrived at the monk's humble temple. He was a whirlwind of energy, his brow furrowed with a frustration that seemed too heavy for his young shoulders. He bowed breathlessly and blurted out, "Master, I've traveled so far. Please, tell me, where can I find happiness? I feel so lost." The monk looked at the boy, his gaze kind and knowing. He didn't offer a quick answer or a simple platitude. Instead, he smiled and said, "Stay with me through the seasons. Each one will teach you what you seek." The boy, desperate for any guidance, agreed, and so began a year that would change his life forever. Spring arrived in a burst of vibrant life. The mountainside exploded in a riot of color as flowers bloomed in every crevice. The rivers, once frozen, now thundered with melted snow, their roar echoing through the valley. The boy felt the energy of the season deep in his bones. It made him feel alive, hopeful. But this newfound energy also fueled his impatience. He followed the monk everywhere, peppering him with questions. Is this happiness? Have I found it yet? What's the secret? He wanted the answers now, handed to him like a ripe fruit. One afternoon, the monk led him to the edge of the powerful river. Without a word, he gently but firmly pushed the boy's head beneath the rushing water. The boy struggled, his lungs screaming for air, his mind filled with panic. Just as he felt he could hold on no longer, the monk pulled him out. The boy gasped, coughing and sputtering, tucking in deep, ragged breaths. Once he had recovered, the monk looked at him and said softly, "When you crave wisdom as deeply as you just craved that breath, you will find it." The boy stood there, dripping and shivering, but for the first time, understood. True growth, true happiness, doesn't come from casual curiosity. It begins with an intense, burning desire, a hunger to learn, to change, to truly understand yourself. The heat of summer soon settled over the mountains, heavy and relentless. The air was thick, and every movement felt like an effort. The monk handed the boy two empty buckets and pointed to a well at the bottom of the long, steep hill leading to the temple. "Your task," the monk said, "is to fill these buckets and carry them to the top every day." The boy began the work with vigor, but soon the initial enthusiasm faded, replaced by sweat, aching muscles, and deep resentment. The sun beat down on his back. The buckets grew heavier with each step, and the path seemed to stretch on forever. He stumbled, he spilled water, and his hands blistered. Day after day, the grueling task continued. One afternoon, halfway up the hill, he dropped the buckets in frustration, water splashing onto the dusty ground. He shouted up at the monk, who sat peacefully in the shade of the temple entrance. "Why are you making me suffer like this? This is pointless. This isn't happiness." The monk waited until the boy reached the top, exhausted and angry. He then pointed to a small, thriving garden of vegetables near the temple. "I water that garden with the water you bring," I sighed calmly. Then he pointed to the mighty river in the distance. Even the strongest river begins as a single drop of rain, then another and another. Joy is built the same way through small, consistent efforts. You think happiness is a sudden destination, but it is a garden you must tend to, drop by drop, day by day. The boy looked at his sore hands, then at the garden, and finally at the distant river. He realized happiness wasn't an instant gift. It was grown through patience and the discipline of daily practice. As the summer heat gave way to the crisp, cool air of autumn, the landscape transformed once more. The leaves on the trees turned to brilliant shades of gold, red, and orange, creating a breathtaking tapestry across the mountainside. But soon, they began to fall, carpeting the temple grounds in a thick blanket. The monk handed the boy a rake. Every morning, he instructed, "I want you to clear the courtyard of all the fallen leaves." The boy set to work, finding a certain satisfaction in creating neat piles and seeing the clean stone beneath. But his satisfaction was short-lived. The moment he finished, a gentle breeze would stir the branches, and a fresh shower of leaves would drift down, undoing his hard work. Day after day, the cycle repeated. He'd rake, and more leaves would fall. Frustration began to bubble inside him again. "It's useless," he finally exclaimed to the monk, throwing the rake down. "I can't keep them from falling. No matter how hard I work, the ground is never perfectly clean." The monk smiled, a gentle, knowing smile. He picked up a single, perfect maple leaf. "Yes," he said, "and so is clinging to anger from yesterday, or regret for a past mistake, or trying to control what cannot be controlled. Just as the trees must release their leaves to prepare for winter, you must learn to let go of what no longer serves you." The boy looked at the endless cascade of falling leaves, and for the first time, he didn't see a chore. He saw a lesson. Joy grows not by holding on tighter, but by releasing what weighs us down. Then came winter. A profound silence fell over the mountains as they became blanketed in a thick, pristine layer of snow. The world seemed to hold its breath. The roaring river was now a quiet, frozen sheet of ice. The vibrant colors were gone, replaced by the simple, peaceful contrast of white snow and dark rock. One cold morning, the monk took the boy to the edge of the frozen lake. He told him to simply sit. No tasks, no questions, just sit. At first, the boy's mind was a whirlwind. He fidgeted, thinking about the spring, the summer, the autumn. He thought about his home, his frustrations, his desires. His mind was loud, chaotic, and restless. The silence around him only seemed to amplify the noise within. He felt an urge to get up, to do something, to break the stillness. But the monk sat perfectly still beside him, and the boy, remembering his lessons, forced himself to stay. He focused on his breath, the cold air filling his lungs, the warmth as he exhaled. Slowly, minute by minute, hour by hour, the storm in his mind began to quiet. The frantic thoughts slowed, softened, and dissolved into the vast, silent landscape. In that profound quiet, he felt a sense of peace he had never experienced before, a deep, calm, and unshakable joy. The monk, sensing the shift, whispered, "The world is loud, but true happiness lives in stillness. The answers you seek are not in the noise or the distractions. Learn to be still, and you will finally hear the wisdom of your own heart." When the snow began to melt and the first green shoots of spring pushed through the thawing earth, the boy knew his year had come to an end. He stood before the monk, but he was not the same restless, frustrated child who had arrived a year ago. His eyes were clear, his shoulders were relaxed, and a quiet confidence radiated from him. He bowed deeply, not out of mere tradition, but with genuine gratitude. "Master," he said, his voice steady and calm, "I came here, searching for happiness. Outside of myself, I thought it was a place to find or a secret to be told. But through the seasons, you have shown me the truth." He paused, looking out at the awakening world. "In spring, I learned that joy begins with a deep desire to grow. In summer, I learned it is built through patient, daily effort. In autumn, I learned it flourishes when we let go of what holds us back. And in winter, I found that it resides in the quiet stillness within." The monk smiled, his eyes twinkling with pride. "Now," he said, "you understand. Joy is not a gift to be given by another. It is a garden you must grow yourself, season by season." From that year on, the boy now, a young man, walked through life with a new understanding. He walked lighter, freer, and truly happy, carrying the wisdom of the 4 seasons within his heart. This is the story of the monk and the boy, a journey through the seasons of life that mirrors our own. If this story inspired you, we invite you to explore more on our channel, Next Level. It's time to start planting your own seeds of lasting joy. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to continue your journey with us.